ruled by man. We are a nation that is ruled by God and by our Constitution. We have floated from that. That is why we are no longer a republic. That is why we have become the democracy that they say we have, which is treacherous ground to be on. This is why we are going about rebuilding a republic. This is why we have another, George Eichhorn, sitting right in the back, came and sat down with me and started laying out how important the Secretary of State is. And why? Because of the way that the entire shenanigans of the left with George Soros and the way that he was trying to take these elections and make sure the Secretaries of State were in the right place so that you could target elections that maybe you could steal, and all of a sudden you end up with Al Franken in the U.S. Senate. You see, there is a movement taking place that we have not been privy to this point, because we thought if you just send a good man that has an R by his name, it'll be golden. And we can celebrate and go watch reruns of The Simpsons. We are way past that now. Now is the time where your back is against the wall. You cannot fail. Because to fail now is to dishonor those who have gone before us. That does not mean that the loss of an election is a failure. I know about how to lose an election. It's not a failure. It makes it harder again, yes, but you come back swinging. You bounce off the ropes and you come right back. So, two ways this can end up. Your guy can win, your guy can lose. Either way, you stay in the fight. Either way, you stay in the fight, because the alternative is to kiss your nation goodbye. Now, let's say these guys win. Let's say that they hold to their principles, which I truly believe they will. Otherwise, I would not be here. I would be doing something glorious, like pressure washing my pig barn. I would be. I really believe that they'll hold. Next task at hand, send them reinforcements. You can't leave them out there forever alone. So now you start looking around and saying, who's next? And you start, and Dave goes out to D.C., and all of a sudden, my Congressman Tom Latham, the man who voted to outlaw my light bulb, I'm not making it up. The man voted to outlaw my light bulb. You see, he can look to somebody like Dave Funk, and with a little encouragement, maybe, by golly, he might start to understand that there's constitutional restrictions, and when you stand on it, you can still get reelected. It's an amazing thought. You see, we are starting a movement. And when you combine all of us in this room with the Tea Party movement and the 9/12 movement, and when you understand the popularity, I mean, Mike, you understand the popularity of people like Glenn Beck and Steve Deace now? It's just shooting through the roof because there is a movement. There is no way under the sun that when I started running 10, going on 11 years ago now, first started going out, that people would say, hey, you know what, that's right. I'm going to start a constitutional study group in my community, and I'm going to pack a restaurant so that we can all hand out the Federalist Papers and learn about the Federal Reserve and learn about the Constitution. And we're going to start studying and understanding what the Founding Fathers were. And we're going to start studying and understanding all of the basis of the way that they believed in their Lord. Now, if I had made that proposal in front of a room full of people 10 years ago, I'd been, what's on The Simpsons tonight? That's not where we're at anymore. We're actually receiving phone calls saying, hey, we've started this constitutional study group. Will you come over and kick this thing off? And they're still running. It's not a one-shot deal where everybody comes and they sit down and they say, I feel good about it. I attended a course. No, they're still in it, because they know that until they understand the principles of liberty and freedom, and they understand the principles that came from God, you don't know how to vote, you don't know how to hold them accountable. Dace and I are good friends. And we had this big discussion maybe a year and a half ago. His philosophy: you cannot have an informed population who will vote for moral leadership, who will reflect with moral values and laws, unless you reignite the faith of God in the people again. I said, that's silly talk. What you need is you need to have people who understand liberty and freedom as ensconced in the Constitution and the limited role of the federal government. You have to have it because if you have these moral people and they don't have a clue what the setup of the rules of government are, they can still get conned by the God talk. Do you realize Nancy Pelosi can actually stand there and talk about how she's talking to the bishops in the Catholic Church about how we need to have illegal immigration inside this nation because it's what God wants? You can still get conned by the God talk. You have to understand, well, how does this break down? So I said, we've got to have this other one first. And then we kind of looked at each other and said, you know what? We need both. Because if you don't, I can stand before you with the Constitution. We can start on page 1 and we can go all the way through it. We can relate it to the Federalist Papers. And if you're still an immoral people, you are still willing to steal from other people. And the election becomes who wins, who loses, who gets the check, who writes the check. Then the other guys win and they cheer because I'm not writing the check anymore, now I'm getting the check. Because it's all just a shell game and it's all just a matter of writing checks back and forth. If you're still an immoral people, you may understand that killing a baby in the womb, well, look at that, Declaration of Independence right there at the top. How do we establish this country? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, God. All right there. That's what we're saying to the king we're breaking out of here for. If we don't have those moral principles, you can understand it, and you don't care. If you do have those moral principles, but you don't know how to implement it, then here it doesn't work without the divine providence of God just stepping in and saying, hey, stupid, vote this way. But when you combine the two, then you understand the greatness of this nation and how we can return to a republic. When you combine the two, then you understand that we're standing in front of men right now, lined around the back wall, who have stepped up at the level that our founding fathers saw. Our founding fathers said, lives, honor, sacred authority, willing to pledge it all. 3 men, back wall. Are you willing to stand with them? God forgive us if we're not. Good night.